Hi, Ellen. Welcome. Hi, Douglas and Durrell. Hi, Janie, Minerva. Hi, Jenny.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Welcome. Thanks for coming. Hi, Barbara. Okay, we're just going to hang on a little bit, make sure that everyone's here. Okay. Kellyanne, are we good on time?
Yeah, we're all set.
Okay.
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome.
Hi.
Hi. Welcome to Practice Positivity. We're going to talk about positive ways to promote emotional wellness. So glad to see all of you here today. My name is Theresa. I'm a clinical mental health counseling Master of Science student. I'm currently in my second year of the program. And Kellyanne, my supervisor at the Mental Health and Wellness Center, invited me to join the group today. Hi, Kellyanne.
Hi, everyone. I am the clinic director at the Mental Health and Wellness Center, and we're lucky to have Theresa here, who's completing the clinical portion of her program en route to being a licensed mental health counselor. So I'm really excited. So we'll tell you a little bit more about our program as we get to the end, but I'm looking forward to working with all of you today.
Thanks, Kellyanne. So first, we just like to talk a little bit about some housekeeping, virtual housekeeping. We'd like to ask for everyone's microphones to remain muted. This is just to help with audio feedback that sometimes makes it difficult for other people to hear what's being said. But we still really want to know what your comments and want you to be able to engage. And there's a way at the bottom of your screen to chat, which those chats will be received by Kellyanne, and then she'll read them out loud and we can discuss that way. If you're not comfortable saying something in the chat for everyone to see, you can privately message Kellyanne. Let us know if you have any questions on that. Of course, we like to remind everybody to be respectful of each other. We all want to make sure that everybody feels safe and welcome to speak. Be mindful what you share while you're in the group with us today. Is it helpful for you? Is it helpful for the group? Does it guide us towards our conversation in practicing positivity? And of course, we're going to practice being positive today. So, what is positivity? What is positive psychology? The scientific study of strengths that enable individuals and communities to thrive. So our ability to pull out the silver linings, the things that make us feel good in any day situation that allows ourselves to be supported individually, but also for a whole community to be supported. The field is founded on the belief that people want to lead meaningful and fulfilling lives, to cultivate what is best within themselves, and to enhance experience of work, love, and play. And I love this quote here: happiness is a mood, and positivity is a mindset. So some of the things that we're going to focus on today are identifying our strengths. These are what we call upon to really kind of dig into positive psychology and our abilities to do a good positive reform in a situation where we need to support ourselves. We're going to determine how we can use those strengths to cope with those difficulties and discuss different activities to practice positivity. That's really the meat of today's discussion. That's towards some of the later slides, so hang on tight. So first we wanted to kind of explore some of the different emotions that we might be experiencing lately due to the health crisis or any particular experiences we might be having that might make it difficult to remain positive. So emotions that we might have when we're experiencing during times where it's difficult to remain positive. This is where I'd really love to encourage you to share with us and engage and drop something in the chat box down there. This helps create a sense of shared experience if someone shares something that someone else can relate to. Kellyanne will let me know if I have anything in the chat box.
Definitely. So waiting on some things to come in.
Oh, more people coming in, is that what you said?
We did have some more people come in. I'm just waiting to see if there's anything that gets added to the chat.
Great. Welcome our new friends and guests here. I see Kathy's here now. Welcome.
So someone did comment stock market fluctuations. Definitely scary thing.
Stock market fluctuations. Stability financially.
Definitely.
Yes, thank you for
not knowing when the virus will subside. Also anxiety and stress.
Absolutely, definitely things that we can relate to. Definitely very real experiences that we're all going through.
Being under stay-at-home orders. Homeschooling was added.
Homeschooling. So many different layers there.
Absolutely.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah. Those are all situations and experiences that can make it really hard to remember to stay positive. Was there something else, Kellyanne?
Nope, not at this time. But we got more friends joining us, so just be adding them. So sorry, great. I feel like I'm like mission control over here. I'm like,
you certainly are. You have your hands on all the dials over there. Thank you for supporting us here. Welcome to our new guests. Thanks for coming. So thank you for sharing all of your experiences here. I hope some people were able to relate. So I'd like to take a little bit of time and talk about some strengths within ourselves. These are the things that, like I said earlier, we're going to call upon when we start using positive psychology. What strengths do you rely on when you go through the typical, the difficult times that we mentioned earlier, like watching the stocks fluctuate or doing homeschooling and worrying about the virus ending? Are you able to call on any of these strengths during those times? I know that I think a lot of us are experiencing humor, especially if you are online and following memes. Love, if we have people around. Bravery, we're all being really brave as we're going through all of this.
Someone added gratitude. Absolutely. Something we're definitely gonna talk about in here.
Yes. Gratitude, absolutely. We have some more detailed ways on how we can really harness our gratitude to carry us through difficult times.
Patience.
Patience.
Patience is a huge one right now.
Isn't it? We're all waiting, aren't we? We're waiting for new information. We're waiting for it to end. We're all being as patient as possible. How about optimism? Does anybody relate to having that as a strength? Yeah, I see some head nods. Great. Flexibility. How flexible have we had to be lately? Changing our schedules, our routines, making all these accommodations when we can go to the store. It's so powerful to be able to be flexible.
Spirituality was added.
Absolutely. Spirituality. a way to feel connected and fulfilled. Can anybody relate to that, leaning into spirituality? Yeah, great. Are there any strengths that are not listed here that anybody?
Someone just added adventuresome.
Oh, yes. Yes. That one speaks to me personally.
For me, open-mindedness is
Mm.
something that really has stood out to me during this time. It's like normal is not a thing anymore, so we got to be open-minded to what this new world is going to look like, what this process is going to look like. So open-mindedness is something that has really stood out to me.
Absolutely, Kellyanne. I agree. There's there's so much to benefit with being able to remain open and accept information, and being able to take on a new experience that you've either chosen or has been thrown at you. And I've really been seeing that a lot in people, being open and flexible.
Absolutely.
Anything else? All right. So, thoughts on strengths. There's a couple of things to think about regarding the strengths that we do harness. And one of them is, in what parts of our lives do we have the most success? Think of the moments where we have been successful and what we've used to achieve those things. And they can be successes like friendship, gaining knowledge, happiness. What have you relied on? And we really called up a couple of those earlier: openness and flexibility and spirituality. Kellyanne, anything to add there?
No, absolutely. And these are some kind of questions that are meant for like food for thought, and these kind of are reflective questions. So we kind of just want to pose them here to get you thinking about these strengths and how they apply to being positive.
Right. I keep thinking about unique outcomes, which is something that we learn in narrative therapy, times where we've been able to overcome a situation using Earth's strengths. And when we recall those things and harness that for what we're going through now, it helps us get through. So you can do things like imagine a time that you felt you were at your absolute best and remembered what you held on to then. And difficult situations tend to make us focus on our weaknesses, but what kind of situations make you feel this way? And are there still some strengths that you can call upon even when you're experiencing a weaker moment? But like Kellyanne said, these are questions we can ask ourselves as we're being faced with a difficult challenge to help pull up all of the different resources that we already have within ourselves.
Absolutely.
Shifting towards a positive outlook. So a lot of the things that we're going to talk about in a little bit are going to be different ways in which we can transition from a more painful or negative mind frame to a more positive, supportive mind frame. And we really need to retrain our brains there. And we want to shift from thinking in a basic way about what's wrong to what's right. It's very natural for most of us to say, what's wrong, when you're going through a situation to someone else. And it's very common that when we're going through something, we look within ourselves and we say, well, what's wrong with this? What's wrong with this situation? And we so rarely focus on what's right. Kellyanne, I saw some comments in. Anything to address?
Susan had added, I think, in response to some of the questions that we were posing before, is definitely about helping patrons, and definitely helping others, I think, is something that is really an important part of this positivity and fostering that positivity.
Yeah, generosity, making connections. That sounds like something that's right. So thinking about what's wrong and shifting our thinking to what's right, pulling out positives, the silver linings. So, what are some of the right questions we can ask ourselves while we're in a difficult situation? Oops, sorry, my finger slipped. How has another person shown that they care about us within the past week? What was something that happened this past week that was exciting? What was something that made you laugh today? Today, my sister's cat and my sister's dog met in the hallway, and it brought us a ton of joy to watch them interact. Something as simple as that. What was something nice that you did or said in the past week?
Just Theresa, before you keep going on that, Douglas had shared that his daughter learned how to ride a bike and she's getting good at it. That's something really exciting.
That's great. That's fantastic. Does anybody else have any things like that they'd like to share? Good luck to your daughter, Douglas. I hope she continues to ride on.
And a nice part about this process here that we're engaging in is that when we hear other people's happiness, it kind of makes us all like smile and feel good. So, you know, if you want to share, or even if you're just taking in some of these nice comments, it's good to have that ability to put a smile on your face.
Yeah. I know someone mentioned gratitude earlier. Is there anything that they'd like to share about what they've been thankful for today?
I'm thankful for the sun and the warmth.
Yes, yes. Leaving winter and finally hitting spring. Anyone else?
Minerva shared flowers are blooming in my yard, which makes our family happy. Yes. So Sophia added that her husband and her get to spend more time together. That's amazing.
That's nice, yeah.
It was shared friends and family and food delivery. Yes.
Oh, yeah. That makes life a little easier if you're able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for sharing, everybody. Those are great things.
These are all great. And they're making me happy thinking of them all.
Absolutely. Is there anything that anybody did, anything that made themselves feel proud? I have an example. Each one of you made it here today. You should be really proud of yourself for engaging and showing up to this.
Absolutely.
It's a good source of positivity.
I second that. You know, everyone should take a minute and just say, like, I did something really good for myself today and took some time out of this day to work on trying to be more positive. So yes, you should all be proud of that today.
Okay.
Doug added, started exercising with weights again. Good job,
Great.
Doug.
Nice. Now we talk about moving our body a little bit later and all of the positive effects it has on us and our mindset.
Janie added she's been exercising too. So
Great.
amazing.
Some of us might have a little bit more time now to get those exercises in.
Absolutely. So Sophia added mastered Instagram stories for work purposes. Great. I'm still working on that myself. Not so great at it.
You're doing great.
But yes, and because it's so important for us to be able to connect now, and learning these things it can be really challenging. But when you do, when you are able to learn that skill, or you finally make a first successful story, especially if it used to go way overhead, you feel proud of yourself. So that's great. Janie also added lots of reading and doing Zoom book clubs. Very cool.
Ooh, nice. That's a good one. That'll probably last a long time. Zoom book clubs is a great idea.
Yeah, some of these things I think will stick around, which I think is really awesome, because sometimes if we're too busy or running around too much, we don't have the time to maybe get to that book club or join this thing that we wanted to do. But if things are virtual, it makes it a little bit easier for us to be able to engage in these things.
Yeah, definitely a positive of this universal experiencing we're all having is the way that we're going to be advanced afterwards in certain ways, using technology, being able to stay connected and involved and supporting ourselves. We're learning a lot of skills. Great. So activities to promote positivity. This is where we really get to the meat and the skills of how we utilize positivity. But before we discuss it, before we discuss the activities, we have to first kind of recognize the different places that foster negativity. So does anybody have any examples? I have a couple examples here of areas where negativity really thrives. But if anybody has any examples before I show that, please do share places where you might find negativity more often than positivity.
Sophia added staying in bed too long. So maybe that, yeah, it definitely can promote negativity. Jeannie said she agrees with watching too much news.
Yeah. Too much news consumption, too much social media, right? Everything in moderation. I see some things coming in.
Ruminating in bed.
Ruminating.
A follow-up to the staying in bed too long. Minerva added comparing yourself with others, I should say. Absolutely. This expectation lately for us to be doing all of these things, and it puts a lot of pressure on us, and we've probably been hearing a lot about that. So absolutely something to think about. Was also added not having structure. Definitely.
It can definitely breed negativity, especially if you're also comparing yourself to other people who seem as if they have more structure. They all kind of lean into each other a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The experiences shared earlier about staying in bed with your negative thoughts makes me think about negative self-talk. It's really an environment that allows you to breed and allows your negative feelings to echo back and forth.
Family members dying. Yes, absolutely. That's been a big challenge during this time. I think we're very consumed with our family, our friends, or where we're constantly hearing about people who are passing away, and I think that is really it's really hard to get away from, and also going back to news, like it's our family, but it's also them. We're constantly hearing about these numbers, and it's like that's our daily update is how many people have died. Like I don't want to hear this all the time. Like we know we're experiencing it ourselves. Many of us know people who have passed away during this very difficult 2 months, and I don't think that it necessarily needs to constantly be reiterated. So yeah, it's just a thought from me.
Yeah. It's our community being affected negatively. It's hard to watch, especially when it's someone so close. But even when it's somebody a little bit far removed, it impacts us.
Right. And also the fact that we don't get to mourn as we normally would, or to celebrate the life, like depending on how you want to look at it, like we don't get to engage or pay respect in the way that we would before. So that's been challenging. It's also added, and I think it's highly related to this, is the inability to worship at church. And yes, it's so important and such a huge source of strength and positivity and connection for so many people, and not being able to to go to the place of worship where you want to engage in those activities, and that moment of connection with spirituality and religion is very hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other places who would like to share? Not taking emotional breaks is an important one. I think that we hold ourselves so high, to such high standards, that we don't even realize that we deserve a break, that we need a minute to break away from everything that's adding on stress and adding on negative self-talk and allowing us to compare ourselves to other people. If we kind of meet ourselves where we're at and take a step back from everything, it helps us rebalance and probably make it a little clearer for us to see some of the positive strengths that we have so we can move forward.
Theresa, one more was added, judging myself for not putting out more for work. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That goes back to those shoulds and musts and do mores and expectations and having all of these things that we're holding ourselves to. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's a big one. A lot of us are working from home and are still expected to be just as productive as we were when we were physically at work. And it's a very challenging place to be in. It's a very valid concern.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Kellyanne?
Nope, we're good. Sorry.
Okay. So thank you for sharing some of the places where we are really experiencing negative things, where they start being born and where they start affecting us the most. We're going to start talking about ways in which we can combat those experiences, those negative and impactful experiences. These will be positively impactful experiences. So as one of our guests mentioned, and Kellyanne often mentions, is that practicing gratitude is a phenomenal way to instill positivity and help shift our mentality from negative to positive. We can try our best to reflect on some of the little things that we're grateful every single day. I'd like to start this by offering people in the group to share what they might be feeling grateful today, and it can be big or small. Today, I'm grateful that coffee was made before I got to the pot this morning.
It's a good one. I'm grateful for a lot today.
Yeah.
I mentioned this before. For me, it's the sun and the warmth and the
Absolutely.
weather. I have to stick with that one because yesterday was gross. So
Yeah.
if we're gonna be stuck at home, I want the weather to be nice.
I agree.
So it was added for friends who Zoom with me weekly, talking to my children often, walking. Sophia added the weather, the package she received, the positive feedback she got for her work project today.
Nice.
Janie added not being alone. Donna added the weather is getting better.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Great. Those are all things to be grateful for. Absolutely. I'm grateful that you are all here today. And I'm grateful that I was able to be here today. For sure. And I'm grateful that I could see all of your faces. Well, most of your faces.
Sophia added that she's grateful for this talk today. Thank you, Sophia, and thank you for coming.
Yeah. So, one of the ways that we like to encourage practicing gratitude is to do a gratitude journal. And I know when we initially think of that, we picture our leather-bound notebook, writing every thought and thing that we feel grateful for, which is absolutely a way to do a gratitude journal. But there are so many other ways that you can do it that best suits your personality. And Kellyanne, if you don't mind if I share.
Sure.
Kellyanne does a really beautiful gratitude practice where she takes a photo of the same tree every day as it's transitioned from winter into the spring. And she's able to be grateful of the beauty and the change of spring, but she also documents it in the photos so she can look back and flip through and watch the tree grow.
I started it on the first day home from working remotely, and I'm on photo 54 today.
54?
54.
Oh my God. That's wild.
A lot happens in 54 days. I will
Certainly
tell everybody that. So another thing that was added in the chat was we have to that we have what to eat and don't have to worry about finances, right? So having our needs met on a daily basis is something we should be grateful for.
Absolutely. I'm so grateful that you mentioned that here. Such an important piece.
Mhm.
Does anybody else have any other activities in which they like to express gratitude? Like journaling?
Sophia added, when I remember, I try to list 30 things I'm grateful for as I'm falling asleep.
Wow.
Excellent.
That's a great practice. Instead of counting sheep, we just count what we're grateful for until you fall asleep.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Great. Well, we can do some other things like vlogging. You create a video where you can either talk or share pictures about what you can be grateful for. A gratitude walk is great. I know we were all kind of just saying how much we appreciate nature and spring and the changes, just going outside and really acknowledging all the different things on your walk that you can be grateful for. It's a simple way to bring some positivity into yourself. And something as simple as to remember to say thank you for someone who does something for you, or for yourself if you've done something to care for yourself. Kellyanne, any other ads there?
So the one thing I always like to stress about gratitude is it really is a practice. It's not something that happens once and it's over. It's something that we have to continually work at. And one thing that these activities, if practiced regularly, will lead to is being more grateful in the moment that you experience something. Being able to notice it's sunny and say, oh, I'm thankful it's sunny today. Or, take that first sip of coffee and be like, oh, I'm so grateful for this fresh cup of coffee. Whatever it may be, it's the goal is to ultimately practice it so that the gratitude is happening in that moment when you're experiencing it. So as you practice these activities, you start to make yourself more aware of those things. So that would be the end result of engaging in this.
Yeah.
Jenny added 21 days of abundance with meditation practice. Yes, meditation is something that's amazing and really also helps with being more mindful and more present and clearing your mind so that these things can come into your mind too.
That's a great point, Kellyanne, making space for gratitude. Meditation really helps there.
Absolutely.
It's all those small things like Kellyanne mentioned to have a great impact. It's tiny steps we can make.
Right.
Small impacts to make a greater impact. So just being grateful of the small things in the long run.
Right. And when we're talking about space, right, if we're creating space for things to be grateful for or positive things in general, that means that when we fill up that space that we're creating with positive things, we then have less space for the negative things, right? They exist, but they take up less space.
I appreciated that visual, Kellyanne. Let's see what we have next here. So another really easy way to practice positivity is to listen to music that has a positive message. Music is such a human way to uplift our souls and to really be mindful of the type of music that you're surrounding yourself with has a lasting impact. It has the ability to really impact us physically and mentally. It reduces stress and improves cognitive performance. And it can really change your mindset. You really get into a song, can really seep in there and make a change. I personally am very impacted by the Wood Brothers Sing About It song. And it just is really about telling you when you're experiencing something difficult, just sing about it. And it's going to bring you a sense of joy. And I know that Kellyanne really loves Touch of Grey by the Grateful Dead, we just shared here. We could try to play it again, but
we don't have to play it. We've gotten some feedback that when there's a lot of people in the group, it comes out a little choppy, so we'll skip it. But I could talk a little bit about it. One of the reasons why I chose this specific song for this presentation group is because I specifically chose the lyrics that said, "We will get by."
Hmm.
And I think that that was something that really spoke to me in the beginning of this, was that we needed to find messages that this will end, this will pass, and we will get through it. And having this upbeat song to go along with that message really spoke to me. So that was why I chose this song. So if you are interested, you might want to take a listen over at YouTube. It's a great song.
It was a very uplifting song. I appreciated that share. Does anybody have any songs that they'd like to share with us that bring us a positive, uplifting message?
I always think of what's that song? The "Don't Worry, Be Happy" song. Whenever
Yeah,
when we're trying to think of positive lyrics, the "Don't Worry, Be Happy" song.
that is a good one. And because so many people know it, it really is impactful. It helps you connect and experience an uplifting moment together.
Susan shared "Here Comes the Sun."
Oh,
Love that
do,
one.
do, do, do. I love it. That's a great one. Anybody else?
I'm sure everybody has their songs that are their go-to pick me up. Sophia added that she likes calm music. And the music that's positive doesn't necessarily need to be upbeat and dancey and happy, but really anything that makes you feel good is perfect.
Absolutely. I agree.
So Janie added happy talk.
Nice. I like Kantoma, if anybody's heard of that. It's a very soothing way to start the day. I try to do my morning routine that way. Thanks for sharing. Feel free to add songs throughout the session whenever you think about it. Any of those are good shares and helpful for other people. Ooh, it's flying. Sorry.
It's okay.
Positive mantras. So this is great, especially if you're having a hard time really thinking of a way to connect with positivity. Sometimes if you are not used to practicing it on your own, you need a little guidance on how to get there, and that's perfectly fine. And thank goodness for most of us who have access to internet. We can just simply put something into Google to call up some inspiration. And you can pull out easy quotes and videos that really help start reframing your mindset to be more positive. I really like the ones that Kellyanne put here. The "I have the power to create change" one is really important to me, especially as a counselor. It's important to me to feel as if I can acknowledge and create change within myself and help guide another person through a change that will help support them the best, what they want. Does anybody have any positive mantras that they'd like to share that they think of or know of? Anything that you actually rely on pretty regularly? I have one from high school. It was "Energy is eternal delight." It's about how energy recycles. You put it out and share it with somebody, and it's going to come back to you. So if I'm putting it out for somebody, eventually I'm actually supporting myself as well. I saw some come in. Anything you'd like?
Sophia added "Everything will be all right eventually."
Mm-hmm.
And Susan added "This too shall pass." Those are great.
Patience.
I've been saying "this too shall pass" a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's only temporary. Right? Anything else?
I like one that it's "I can and I will." But also the one in the green box here is one of my favorites. I like the growth in that one, that I'm better than I used to be, better than I was today. Hopefully not as good as I'll be tomorrow, because I want to keep pushing myself to be better each day.
Yeah.
So the nice part about mantras is you find the ones that fit your needs. So you can definitely look for things that speak to you at that time. I remember there's been times where I was maybe struggling, and one that was very prevalent for me was I can and I will. It's just it can really be tailored to whatever what you need in that moment.
Mm.
Sophia added, in 7 days it'll be different.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I like that. Giving it like an expiration date. I like that. I like the one in purple here. It was always important to me to kind of learn to meet myself where I'm at, where I am at that moment. I'm doing my best, and that is all I can expect of myself. Really appreciating the efforts you're putting in at the moment.
And Janie added, try not to sweat the small stuff. That's a really good one. Especially when you need to kind of move away from those negative thoughts that you're having. Sometimes the littlest things feel like huge negative things, but we need to kind of keep putting them into perspective.
Right. Absolutely. And I think that's important to know that it doesn't have to be one that's already established. If you have a mantra that arises from within yourself, hold on to that, lean into that. All right. So another way we are really learning right now during the health crisis to foster positivity is to stay connected and foster relationships with people. There's so much support that we receive just from making connections with friends and coworkers and family. Being here today is a great way to connect and have a sense of fulfillment and really feed positivity for yourself.
So Ellen had added a quote. I just would like to read it to make sure that everybody hears it. Fear is useless. What is needed is trust. And I like that one.
I like that one a lot too. Thank you, Ellen.
I love all this participation today. It's great. I love all this sharing.
I do too. Thank you so much for adding in. Does anybody have any ways in which they stay connected that they can share here? Zoom is great. I know we always use that. With my friends, I tend to use House Party because you can play games as well. So we get to connect by talking and sharing stories, but we can also connect in that other way. Has anyone else tried anything else?
I think for people that I would regularly call, I've tried to do mix in some FaceTime calls instead of just a phone call, so that there's some connection visually with those individuals. So that's been helpful too.
Yeah, right. It's great to shake it up. It's always good to have a different environment when you're able to leave the house. You want to go to new places, different restaurants, parks. But now we have to work with what we have. Trying different methods of connecting is a great idea.
Right.
Calling, texting, messaging on Facebook, all sorts.
And that's a great place to highlight that part about being grateful for technology. I often think about what we would be doing had this been in the 80s or 90s. Like, what would that have looked like? And I think I'm so grateful that we do have the ability to connect all across Nassau County right now and all across the Long Islands. I think it's so, it's just so helpful that we don't need to be in the same physical space, but we can still connect. It doesn't replace that same connection in person, but at least it's something that we do have.
Yeah.
Sophia added sharing stuff on social media that she would otherwise wouldn't, which gets conversations going. Great. So conversation starters, great.
Thanks for sharing, Sophia. Anyone else? Any other ways of connecting?
So Jenny added social distancing doesn't mean emotional distancing. I love that.
Oh, nice. Yes. Make you a host. That was a good one.
Donna added attended two children's birthday parties on Zoom. That's pretty cool.
Cute. How do the kids do with that? I hope they had fun. I see in the classrooms, a lot of the elementary school kids are getting creative with their frames and how they're engaging.
Yes. Stunning. And it was very nice.
Great, thanks. Awesome. All right. So we talked about this a few times already. Some of you already have this in your wheelhouse already, but exercise and physical well-being. And it's not about weight loss necessarily. This is not what it's about. It's not about putting on muscle. This is about increasing our serotonin and dopamine and the endorphins that we get to help us create a stable and happy mood, to help make us feel positivity with just our bodies. Eating right and staying active really has positive impacts on our mental health. How many times have you just gone for a walk or done chores or even just gone to the gym and come back feeling in a completely different mood, a much lighter mood? Has anybody had that experience so far? Moving your body and feeling so much better?
I think it's also the pride and the accomplishment that goes with that too.
Yes. That's a great point. I always am so proud of myself once I actually have done it.
Mm-hmm. Donna said she's been taking her dog on longer walks. It's great.
For both you and puppy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm sure the dog loves it too. Sophia added, yes, exploring my neighborhood more and finding new spots to visit. Very cool.
Can anybody share how they feel after they do exercise?
Someone added into the group, while you all think of that, exercise is so important, puts me in a good mood. I walk every day, sometimes on my treadmill regularly.
Great. That's great.
Yeah, the mood is so important. And like, I think our mood changes everything for us for that day, which is great. Sophia added, she feels more energized, breaks up the monotony.
Absolutely. And some of us really can't change our routine that much. Some of us can't leave the house as much and get outside and do walks, but doing things around the house is still a way to get your body moving. And there are things that you can do at home to get all of those endorphins flowing. It's a simple way to really help give yourself a boost in your mood if you need it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my mom used to always say, chores will make you feel better. And I didn't believe her until I was much older, and somehow sweeping and vacuuming and dusting really did make me feel better. And it must be a combination of what you had said earlier, Kellyanne, of accomplishment, but also like really physically moving my body.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Sophia also added, when I'm not able to go outdoors, I like online yoga and organizing my living space. Yes, that was what I was going to add to your cleaning thing too, was that when you have this clean space, when it's organized, it feels so good. So not only the cleaning part of it, but the organizing part of it too. And Donna added decluttering.
Yes, there's something about it.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Thanks
Clean
for sharing.
space, clean mind.
Yeah, yes. And someone brought up, I'm sorry, I don't remember who said it, but really participating in the online yoga or Zumba or whatever other types of physical classes people have been promoting online. I think those are really great because that's a combination. You're connecting, you're making relationships, so you're receiving the positive impacts of that, but you're also receiving the positive impacts of physical exercise and moving your body. So you're really doing wonders for yourself in just that one sitting.
Absolutely.
Thanks for sharing. So, someone brought this up earlier, mindfulness and meditation. I loved, Kellyanne, I think you said this, of like making space to allow for the positivity to come in. And meditation really helps make space for a new mindset. There are so many different ways to practice mindfulness and meditation now. You don't have to sit there the traditional way of 60 minutes on the floor, cross-legged, thinking about white open spaces, you can take a minute or 2 minutes of your time and really just try and clear your mind of all the clutter. Kellyanne has provided us with a couple of different activities that are really wonderful to engage in that help do just that, make space and clear your mind. I really love these grounding techniques. The two that I rely on the most are progressive muscle relaxation and also the 5-4-3-2-1 technique. So I'd like to try and take a second and practice the 5-4-3-2-1 together. You don't have to call it out and tell each other what we're seeing, but I'll walk you through it and we can take a moment to try and ground ourselves right now. Does everybody think that that's an okay idea?
And just to reiterate, it's about noticing it and not necessarily like being able to, it's not like, it's not I Spy, right? It's not
Right.
I Spy this around the room. It's just about taking this in and noticing. So.
Right. Grounding yourself in that moment. So first, I'm just going to go through the whole thing and then we'll do it together. We're going to name 5 things that you can see. And when I say name it, I mean look around and acknowledge it in your mind. Or you could say it out loud to yourself. 4 things you can touch. And again, you can acknowledge it to yourself. 3 things you can hear. 2 things you can smell. And 1 thing you can taste, which is always an interesting one. So you could take a deep breath to start. And you can name 5 things that you can see. Just look around and name 5 things. Just an example, I'll tell you what I can see. I can see a lime in my glass. I can see my plants. I can see the trees moving in the breeze outside my window. I can see the sun coming in through my window. And I can see my comfy bed. 4 things you can touch. Look around and acknowledge 4 things around you that you can touch. For example, I have my glass and my computer, my necklace, myself.
And as you touch those things, you can also think about their texture. Think about what you're noticing as you touch them. So for example, my tea is warm and my computer is warm, but my desk is actually a little cool. So you just notice the differences in the things that you touch. So Theresa, you mentioned your necklace. Maybe your necklace is a little more rough, but your desk might be a little more smoother. So just noticing the difference between the things that you choose.
You could take a moment and try and hear 3 things. Acknowledge them and the difference in the sounds, like Kellyanne mentioned, in the textures, the sounds. I can hear the fan of my computer, which is louder than the wind I can hear outside. I can hear my dogs playing in the backyard. You can name 2 things you can smell. I can smell my perfume and the lemon in my glass. And 1 thing you can taste.
If you happen to have something with you to drink, you can take a sip of that. Otherwise, just notice that natural taste in your mouth.
Maybe the remnants of some toothpaste. After I do this technique, I usually feel pretty grounded and calmer than I did before I started. Anybody that would like to share how they felt before or after doing this technique together? I'd love to hear from you.
One of the things that I tend to notice is that it quiets the thoughts for me, because you're taking your brain's energy and focusing it on your senses and what's around you. You're not able to really continue the train of thought that's going on for you. So it does help quiet my mind a little bit and let me get more into the present moment. Sophia said that was great. I teach kids yoga, and it's such a great way to get kids to learn about their senses and mindfulness.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Isn't it great that we learned about our senses when we were so young, but we can still really harness that knowledge now and use it as a positive strength? All right. My mind is so clear, I forget what's next. So, acts of kindness. We talked a little bit about this earlier. Someone mentioned generosity and donations, especially during this time of crisis. You really get a sense of positivity if you're able to get involved with helping others. It makes you feel good. Look for opportunities to get involved. Look for opportunities to give to your community. Maybe look for opportunities to be kind to yourself. We so often think about what we can do for others, but we can only do so much for others if we don't do enough for ourselves.
And I always say, one of my mantras is be kind to yourself. So when you think of act of kindness, how do you also be kind to yourself?
Yeah. So this is the overall kind of concept here is practice perspective taking. We really want to try and change our perspectives here to be able to view the things that we experience in a different light. So how can you look at a situation differently? Look at the bigger picture. Put yourself in someone else's shoes, and is there a silver lining? Finding that silver lining in an experience can really help you shift the way you're experiencing that experience, the way you remember that experience, how you react to that experience. And I really love Kellyanne's little cartoon explanation here or example here of Snoopy. And it says, someday we will all die, Snoopy. But Snoopy says, true, but on all the other days we will not. And I really appreciate Snoopy's ability to reframe what was said to have a positive meaning.
And sometimes our negative thoughts are true, and we have to acknowledge that. But there's also another way to usually to look at it. So that's what we really want to kind of hone in on here.
Practicing acceptance is important, especially during such crisis times. It's important to sometimes just think that it is what it is. And there's little that we can actually do about the actual situation, but what we can do is control how we engage with the situation. It's so easy to focus on the things that we can't control, which really increases our negative experiences and feelings. But if we can try and shift our perspective and think about the things that we can control, what strengths we do have, we're able to find a more positive perspective in the situation experience that we're in. Kellyanne, do you have anything to add on that?
No, I think that that's essentially the most important part of this is just finding what we do have control over and accepting what we don't have control over. And control is the biggest thing for us, right? We want control. We want to be able to know what we're getting into, know what we have to deal with, and we can't all the time. So sometimes we just have to say, like, we can't, and find the things that we can control.
Absolutely. So unfortunately, one of the things that I can't control is time, and we've run out of that today. But I wanted to give you the opportunity to share any thoughts and feelings you might have around us ending here, and any things that you might feel you might want to share about what it's going to be like practicing positivity. As you think about that and enter it into the comments, I'll just tell you a little bit about our wellness center. We are associated with Molloy College, and we serve individuals and couples and families at a low cost fee. We have been around for about a year and a half now, and Kellyanne is our supervisor. And if anyone feels as if they would like to have individual family or couple sessions with our clinicians who are master's students at the graduate program for clinical mental health counseling at Molloy, please feel free to reach out to the information on this slide here. You'll reach Kellyanne, and she will be very warm in guiding you through the experience of becoming a client of ours.
Absolutely. And if you know of anybody who is struggling, have them reach out. There are many people who are having a very difficult time, and it might be even difficult for them to attend these groups, but if you do know of anybody, feel free to share our information as well. Connecting with us on social media is a great way to stay connected and hear about all the different groups that we're running, different workshops that we're facilitating. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so we've been kind of celebrating that, I guess, so to speak, or acknowledging that with some of our posts and doing tips and things of that nature. So feel free to reach out if there's anything that you feel would help you or connect with us in some way. So Sophia had added, she's been practicing listing what she has control over and what she can't control and accept since last meeting, and it really helped. So thank you. I'm glad that you were able to come to both of our workshops. And we are on Instagram, and you can follow us on Instagram at Molloy MHWC.
Kellyanne makes great Insta stories now.
Sort of. But yes, definitely, connect with us. And we are going to be doing another group next week, I believe. It is, let me check my schedule. I think it's Thursday as well, right?
I think so.
I think it's Thursday as well. I think that one's early, and we're doing a mental health Q&A. So please feel free to join us again. We love having people come in, and if you felt like there's some things that maybe we haven't touched on yet in our first two programs, and you want to talk about it, join us and get involved and bring your questions. We're happy to help. Thank you for following us on Instagram, Sophia. I just saw that pop up. And Donna said, I enjoyed this segment. Thank you very much. Donna, thank you so much for coming and doing something really awesome for yourself today. And Donna also added, she'll follow us now. Thank you. Yay. And someone asked, how do we find out about future workshops? So workshops that will be facilitated through the Shelter Rock Library will be posted on the library's website, but also follow us on social media. We post about them all the time and all the different ones that we're doing. So if you follow us there, if you want to be added to our mailing list, you can definitely email the center at mhwc@molloy.edu, and that will come also directly to me, and I'll be able to provide you with the information for that through our mailing list. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Susan, for coming. Susan thanked us.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
It was added the excellent workshop. Thank you so much. You guys made this really awesome. All the participation and being able to dialogue with us really helps make it an engaging and rewarding experience for all of you and us as well. So we want to thank all of you for that participation as well.
Absolutely.
Well, if there's no other questions or anything, you guys have our information here. We'll leave it up for another couple seconds. If you want to take a quick snapshot of it on your phone, if you need any of this information after we end. But definitely, we look forward to seeing you again and join us and connect with us. So thank you all so, so much.
Yes, thank you.
And I hope everybody has a fantastic day.
Yes. Be
Take
well
care,
and
everyone.
safe.
Have a good day, Jana.
Okay, there it is. Oh, Jesus.
There should be a leave button.
Oh, thanks.
You got it.
You can hear me. Oh, take care.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
No, this was good for me. My mother passed a while out in March, so I'm just getting used to a new normal. So this was nice too. Thank you.
I'm sorry for your loss, but
Yeah, she was. Yeah, I was her caretaker for 5 years, and she just got worse. It was age-related leukemia.
Oh,
But she could have been a lot worse too. But it was enough. It was towards the end. It was for her too. All right, thank you very much. Have a good day.
take care,
Take
Donna.
care.
Yeah, I found the button. Take care.
Okay,
care.
bye.